Welcome back to the Full Force Fathers podcast, episode 99. We have one quick title for this episode. It is the great one. It's the one that I've been waiting. I probably have not been this happy about an episode since probably our first episode ever. This is just, our March Madness one was good. There's so many great episodes that we have, but this one, oh, I told you this morning on the phone, we need to go back to Pensacola because that was like our bracket episode. I am like so fired up right now.
Yeah, you are. This is a great episode. We get to talk about your favorite athlete, which it's closet favorite athlete. I didn't know that he was your favorite athlete until we started making this podcast. So, it's episode 99. It's the great one. It's finally here, which crazy to believe, too, is our next episode is episode number 100. You think we'd be more excited about that, but no, it's 99.
Dude, it's just so cool, dude. This episode is like, man. Oh, so anyways, we're going to go into this episode. We're going to dive in. But we're going to go backwards. The first thing I'm going to start with is the Bible verse. Talk about some Full Force Father stuff as well, because as you know, faith, finances, physical fitness, they are the most important factors into why we started this show. So we can't go a show without them. We did, like I said, we did kind of defer a little bit, got caught up in the heat of the moment, all other stuff. But right now, we're starting with the Bible verse before we go into numbers, because we know it's about Gretzky and everything else and all things Gretzky. But we're going to the Bible verse, and then I'm going to tie the Bible verse into an article that I read yesterday. And today's Bible verse comes from Proverbs 13, and it is 13:7. One person pretends to be rich, yet has nothing. Another pretends to be poor, yet has great wealth. So, Dave, while I'm pulling this article up, why don't you give me a little, I don't know, what you think of it, keeping up with the Joneses and whatnot, and I'm going to pull up this article.
Yeah, I think it speaks into the culture that we have right now with like you just said it, the keeping up with the Joneses, right? Social media is out there. Everybody wants to portray the best life that they have. And most of the time that's a facade. It's not truly what's going on. They'll post the best moments from their life. Maybe it's their vacation that they probably paid for on a credit card. Maybe it's the fancy car that they either rented or they're leasing. You can't believe what you see. Usually those with less show off and make it seem like they have more. And on the flip side, the average millionaire that you don't even realize is walking down the street in jeans that cost less than $50 and driving typically a used car. So, it is. It's we all flashy over here typically aren't the people that have the most wealth. It's usually the people that are just quietly doing their thing and accumulating it somewhere. And that's why they have a lot, because they're not being flashy with it. They're being conservative. They're saving their money so that they have it long term to leave a legacy.
Yeah. And today's article, I subscribe to MBS Highway. It's something I use for my regular job. But there's, obviously anti-debt in this podcast, work the baby steps, get out of debt. Debt is dumb. All the bad things that come with debt. But there's I don't think it's new, but I think it's finally coming to the forefront. There's a new hideous creature. Everybody knows there's car loans, there's credit cards. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of different debt consolidation loans. But the new one that I've noticed in my line of business, and a new one that's really fucking up the economy, are buy now, pay later loans. Okay? And retail sales comes out this week. And this is a stat that's going to blow your mind. I didn't even tell Dave this stat before the show. He's hearing it for the first time right now. Roughly 88 million or 34% of adults used a buy now, pay later loan in 2023, which is up a shocking 12% from 2022. Those that utilize the buy now, pay later can pay the debt in 8 weeks with 4 installment payments spread out every other week, or they can pay over a longer duration like months, like monthly payments. The 15% paying the larger installments over 8 weeks are likely going to have their discretionary spending significantly reduced. Because don't forget, the average person put about $1,100 on a credit card over the holiday season. But if they used, this is where it's scary. If they used the buy now, pay later loan, they would have a monthly payment of approximately $105 on that $1,100 credit card versus a $32 a month payment on the credit card. The problem is this: nobody does the every other week. They put it out on a freaking, they spread it out over months, and these things are fucking hideous. And no one, and there's another thing, and I see it in my line of business. these fuck up your credit report real bad. If you're buying a house, a lot of people don't get Affirm statements in the mail, and they don't show up on your credit report a lot of times. So what happens is we're getting to underwriting on files, and then all of a sudden the underwriter looks at the bank statements and says, hey, what's this Affirm coming out every month? Those are buy now, pay later loans that aren't showing up on people's credit reports, Dave. And granted, we're both anti-credit report anyways. I hope I never have a credit score again. But think about that for a second. These are not showing up on their credit reports.
Yeah, you said it right at the beginning of how you led into this. I mean, that's going to put a huge problem into your business. There's no doubt about that. If you're not able to see some of these buy now, pay later things that people do, some of their bad habits that they have, I mean, lenders are going to get absolutely destroyed in this. Not to mention, man, the high interest payments that are on these things, they're just they're a terrible, terrible decision for people. It's hard to believe that almost 90 million people took advantage of this last year. And quite honestly, the scary truth is it's probably going to significantly increase this year with the economic times that we're currently facing.
Yep, dude, it's scary, man, and it's only going to get worse. Like my predictions of this year, like I said, this year is like a coin flip, man. Anything can happen, but I think with inflation numbers that came out just last week showing inflation went up and didn't, higher than expectations and all those other things, like it's I think we're headed for a really, really scary summer economically, and especially in the fall. Not to mention with all the other stuff that's going on in the world right now, potentially brink of World War III, the Donald Trump indictments, the court hearings, the election stuff. Biden's a senile old prick, doesn't even know where the fuck he is anymore. He shouldn't be running for office. Is there going to be the old late switcheroo by the Democratic Party? Is Trump going to go? Not to mention a major recession on the way. People don't have any more money. And this is what happens when you print a bunch of money and you send a bunch of money overseas. It's not monopoly money. And I really think this summer and into this fall can get real scary financially for a lot of folks in America if they don't get their shit together. Like the book recommendation today is a Total Money Makeover. Go get it. Go fucking get the book and read it and do it and follow it from step one. I don't care. Swallow your fucking pride. Tell your spouse that you guys, get on the same page, fix it, figure it out, because this year is a fucking make or break year for many, 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 many Americans. And if we keep heading down this slippery slope that we're going right now, dude, we are in major trouble this summer and this fall.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. People need to get control of it now before it's too late. A lot of people probably think it's already too late, but the fact of the matter is you can start changing. You just need to make the decision to stop. Life is going to have to change for you. There's no doubt about it. It's beans and rice all the time. Like there's no fun. It's not happening, but you still can do it. If you've got an income, you can do it. There's still areas you can go and increase your income to get more money coming in to tackle some of these financial things you've got going on, whether that's paying off debt, maybe that's just building your emergency fund, maybe it's saving for a house, kids' education, or just paying the damn bills. Like it's still possible to do, but you just got to be willing to work for it. You got to be willing to change your lifestyle too. That's just a fact of the matter. And unfortunately, a lot of people aren't going to do that. But I hope the people listening to this, if you're listening to this podcast, it means you want to be better. You're trying to do those things to improve your life in all those areas. I would say you're probably in a good position to start. Start now. Go read that book, Total Money Makeover.
Yeah. But, somebody who's probably not in a bad spot financially is the guy that we can't wait to talk about. But before we get into the Wayne Gretzky talk, why don't you run down the list of some of these number 99s? Because 99 is not too shabby, dude. 99 is a great list.
Yeah, man. So we had said in last week's episode that we're going to give we're going to have a list of other athletes that wore 99. They're not the great one, but there's still a tremendous names on this list. And as I was going through, it was kind of astonishing. I didn't realize how many there were. So we're going to start with first, he's current football player, Aaron Donald, okay? 154 games, 111 sacks, 24 forced fumbles. He's a Super Bowl champ. 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 10-time Pro Bowler, 8-time First-Team All-Pro. He was the Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he was on the All-Decade team of the 2010s. How's that to start off for number 99?
Well, he's first ballot Hall of Famer, and he's a top 5 to 7 defensive player of all time by the time he's done. Hands down.
Continuing along, Jason Taylor, Miami Dolphin, 139.5 sacks, 3-time First team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, who was the NFL Defensive Player of the Year one time, and he was a member of the All-Decade Team of the 2000s, another Hall of Famer
Yep.
on our list here in the NFL. Warren Sapp, 96 and a half sacks as an interior lineman, okay, which is a high number. He's a run stopper, but got 96 and a half sacks as an interior guy. 4-time first team All Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl champ, all decade of not just the 1990s, but also the 2000s.
Dude, it's insane.
Right? I know. These guys are good, man. I'm not done. Seattle Seahawk Cortez Kennedy. He was an NFL Defensive Player of the Year, 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time First Team All-Pro, and he was a member of the All-Decade Team of the 90s. And then we've probably got another first ballot Hall of Famer coming up. J.J. Watt, 151 games, 114 and a half sacks, 27 forced fumbles, 17 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time Pro Bowler, 5-time First Team All-Pro, and he was riddled with injuries towards the end of his career too. So, phenomenal list on the NFL side.
The crazy thing about J.J. Watt is his brother might end up being better than him. That's the crazy thing. T.J. Watt might end up being better than J.J., which is hard to believe. It's just insane, these guys. I mean, talk about a bloodline. Yeah. It's kind of like the Bosa boys. The bloodline is just insane.
Yep, so true. But hey, we're not done there. We've got some guys in MLB that have worn the number 99. How about Aaron Judge, current player for the New York Yankees? In 835 games, he's hit 257 homers with 572 runs batted in, and he was the 2022 Silver Slugger Award winner. Not too shabby. Granted, he plays with that short porch at Yankee Stadium, but the dude is a beast, man. He's got a heck of an arm, too. I hate that he's on the New York Yankees, but he's legit. He is legit. Probably the best 99 on the baseball list.
Dude, Aaron Judge is a human monster, dude. He's like 6'8", isn't he? Or 6'7"? He's a fucking monster. Who else we got?
Listen, I threw one other baseball player on the list. He didn't wear this for the majority of his career, but he did while he was with the Los Angeles Dodgers, and that is none other than Manny Ramirez. He was a career .312 hitter with 555 home runs, over 1,800 RBIs, and get this, 38 stolen bases in his career. Manny being Manny, I had to put him on the list because I love Manny Ramirez, dude. He brought back some great memories as a Sox fan from his time in Boston, so Manny had to make the list.
Dude, you're not even done with the list, and you're going to finish the list off, but dude, the amount of guys on the 99 list, this would have made our 64-team bracket. This would have been hard to be argued. This might have been a 1 seed.
Yeah, this could have very well been a contender for the championship. It drops off a little bit in the NBA, although there is a Hall of Famer from the NBA on the list, George Mikan. He was a 3-time scoring champ in the NBA, which I didn't know. He was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1959. And hey, listen, we even got two on the NASCAR front. Carl Edwards won 23 races with the 99 car. And Jeff Burton, another well-known name in NASCAR, 17 wins in the 99 car. So a very, very solid list.
Dude, I am just blown away by the quality of number 99. You did a lot more research on 99 because I was blinded by Wayne Gretzky this whole time, knowing that I get to talk about Gretzky, who's the closet my favorite athlete. But the football guys, Warren Sapp, don't forget, the other thing about Warren Sapp is Warren Sapp played at the U. Don't forget that, dude. He's part of that great Miami team, dude, those teams of the early 90s and the late. Dude, this list is astonishing to me how good this list really, really is. I can't even believe it. When you started saying names like Mikan and Aaron Judge, I'm like, dude, I completely forgot because I was so blinded by fucking Wayne Gretzky.
I know. It's crazy. We've saved the best for last.
Oh, my God, dude.
I'm just going to turn it over to you. But wait a minute. Before I do, I sent you a couple of gifts. And I would love for you to open the gifts during the show before you talk about possibly the greatest athlete of all time, Andine wrapped them for me. What a nice job she did. She's so great. Way to go, Andine.
Dude,
There they are. There's the gifts.
You sent me gifts.
I
Number
love that. I sent
one.
these I sent I sent them a long time ago too, and right after I sent them, she wrapped them. She's like, "Should I put these on his desk for the show?" I'm like, "Oh no, that show's not for like another 12 shows. We're good."
Dude, she
But now
is
the time has finally come. So please open the gifts, and you need to explain them for our podcast listeners.
So my wife and you apparently are in cahoots. I just asked her, I said, what else do you guys know? I just went outside to check for chicken eggs, and I came back in. There's 2 presents wrapped on my fucking desk. I said, what the fuck are those? And she goes, oh, don't worry, they're for your show. And I'm like, that bastard sent me something, and you knew the whole time? I said, what else are you guys fucking talking about behind my back that I don't know about? I said, this is bullshit. But anyways, she said, don't open until the show. That's what Dave said. So here we go. I have 2 presents from Dave. All right, so Dave, stop talking and start paying attention. So everyone knows my love affair for Wayne Gretzky. I've mentioned him in 99 episodes. I've probably mentioned him 40 or 50 times. So the first one we're going to open up is this rectangle box, flower wrapping paper. We're going to open up this box and we're going to see what's inside. And this is crazy because I have no idea what's actually coming down the pipe right now. So we have wrapping paper. Oh, God, she didn't even open up the box. Now I got to really try to open up the box on live radio, dude. Here we go. Okay, we're going here. Pull to open. We're opening up the.
Come on, man.
Oh, it's a book, an autobiography of Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky, an autobiography with one of my least favorite humans, who was a great writer, Rick Riley, from the former ESPN guy. And then we have another a triangle box. What could be in a triangle box? Yes. I'm kind of concerned here of what's in the triangle box, but we're going to see what happens. I'm trying to see if I can see a date on this. It doesn't even have a date, does it? Oh, man. Give me a date.
I don't think it does.
Doesn't have a date on it. Damn it. Another box to try to open here. Let's see what we're going to get. And we have a poster. A poster.
Yes.
Am I
a poster? Because you are fangirling out on Wayne Gretzky, so I figured what better gift than a poster that you could hang somewhere in your house. Maybe it's in the gym, out in the garage. And now you've got a book to read for the rest of 75 Hard. So look at us. There we go.
Look at this thing, dude.
Cheers.
What a disgrace. Him in a Rangers jersey. That's a complete disgrace. Oh my God!
What does it list in the middle? Does it list all of his records or what?
So it says Wayne Gretzky, most career points, only player to have more than 2,000 points, 970 more points than the runner-up, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, 2-time Conn Smythe Trophy winner, which is the Stanley Cup MVP, 9-time league MVP, the Hart Trophy, most assists, most professional career goals, most assists in a season, most goals in a season. Only NHL player to total over 200 points in one season, a feat that he accomplished 4 times in 5 years, and he did it 3 years in a row. Tallied over 100 points in 16 professional seasons, 14 of them consecutively. When he retired in 1999, he held 61 league records. 40 regular season, 15 playoff, 6 All-Star. Universally recognized as the greatest hockey player of all time, and he was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1999. Which, by the way, side note, how good does this guy look for his age? Are you kidding me? He is beautiful for his age.
Oh, for sure.
Dude, yeah. I'm getting this thing framed and putting on the wall somewhere.
You're out of your mind.
This is phenomenal.
Oh,
I love how you segued into
we
Gretzky.
just gotta figure out a way to get it signed.
Oh my God, dude. Where can I meet him? And he just had a Super Bowl commercial with Brady that was so good.
Not bad, right? Dude, couple of the goats. How about that? Man.
Yeah. And
you read some of them there, but why don't we go through some of his incredible stats? You mentioned he had 61 records when he retired. He's got 60 still today.
Yeah. Ovechkin took one of them.
He's holding strong with all of those records.
So so on another screen I pulled up his career statistics. by season. So his rookie season in 79-80 all the way up until his last season when he played with the Rangers in 98-99. This guy, I mean, I just want to point out a couple seasons that just caught my eye. So in 1981-82, his third season, he had 92 goals and 120 assists in the same season, 212 points. That's not even his record. The most astonishing year was 85-86, the year I was born, 86. He had 52 goals. And you're like, okay, yeah, well, he had 92 that year. He had 163 assists in that season. So he had 215 points. That was the end of the three-peat of 200-point seasons. 163 assists. He averaged more than 2 assists a game in the 85-86 season. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this guy. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is crazy. We were chatting earlier before the show, and that stretch of 200-plus point seasons where he had 3 consecutive. The last 5 winners of the Art Ross Trophy, which is for the league's highest scorer, all 5 of them, they averaged 110 total points in a season. Wayne Gretzky did 203 consecutive seasons. It's unbelievable. And speaking of the Art Ross Trophy, he won it 10 times. 10 times. It's insane.
Yep. Yeah. And you could literally take out from 94, 95 to 98, 99. No offense. The great one. He's the great one. But this guy finished with 2,857 points. He had the 92-93 season injury plague season, only played 45 games. His 95-96 season, he only played 18 games. And then, you know what I mean? So you take a couple of these years out, and then later in his career, he did play 82 games. His second to last season, he had 90 points. He missed 100 points in 96-97 by 3. If he had not got hurt in those couple of those prime years of 92-93 in 95-96, he would have been well over 3,000 points, which is just, once again, doesn't even make any sense. You can take his goals away, take all his goals away, and he's still the NHL's leading scorer. If he never scored a single goal in his career.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand why NHL does this, but they don't include playoff points in your point total.
Yeah.
So if you include his playoff points, he is over 3,000 career points.
Yeah.
The astonishing thing, you just said it. If you took out his goals, he'd still have more points than anybody else. He's got 970 more points than number 2, Mark Messier, who played 229 more games, almost 3 full seasons more than the great one.
Dude, it's absolutely absurd. Everything you do. So now and then it brings up the argument, like, okay, team sport, not team sport. Individual records, tennis, golf, individual sports versus team sports, right? Football's got 11 guys on the field, 22 at a time. Basketball's got 10. Hockey's close to basketball. But, like, the distribution, like, think about him. He was more of a point guard than he was a goal scorer. And that's the craziest thing ever. The fact that he was more of a point guard. He enjoyed assists more than he enjoyed scoring goals. And it's like I said, the amount of records that you said, 60 records or 61 records when he retired. He's got, he still has 60 because Ovechkin took over or tie. I think Ovechkin, it was done. Ovechkin, let's see, that was done by Ovechkin. The Capitals captain hit 40 goals for the 13th time. Gretzky only did it 12 times. That's the only record that he still doesn't hold himself. I mean, most goals in a season, most goals in the first 50 games of a season, most goals in a period, most assists in a career, most assists in a season, most assists in one game, most assists in one road game, most points in a career, most points in one season, most overtime assists, most assists during a rookie season in a game. Highest goals per game average. The guy averaged 1.18 goals per game in his career. Highest averages per game, assists per game. Highest assists per game average in one season. Highest points. I mean, the list goes on. He's got 9 50-year goal more seasons, 65 or 5 60 or more goal seasons, most consecutive 60 or more goal seasons, 4 in a row. I mean, the list just never ends. He's got the most playoff goals, the most playoff assists. The guy, I mean, think about it though. He only has 4 Stanley Cups. It's not like he has 10 or 12 Stanley Cups. He only has 4. But the amount of points that he scored in games in the postseason is insane.
Yeah, man. There's not enough you can say about this guy in a team sport. I mean, I don't think there's any question that there has been anyone as dominant as him in a team sport across the board. Now you could talk about some of the others, Tom Brady, the Super Bowls he's got, Michael Jordan, championships he's got. But just when you look at sheer records, and by not even close margins. I mean, I think he's the most dominant player at any team sport.
I like that you use the word dominant because a lot of times we bring up, is he the greatest player or the greatest athlete or the best player? Dominant is a word that makes probably the most sense because he absolutely dominated hockey. Like, the guy didn't want to score goals, he wanted assists.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 9-time MVP. 9. So 50% almost of the years he played. Take away a couple of the injury-plagued seasons. 50% of the years that he played in the National Hockey League, he was the MVP. The next major person out there that won MVPs is Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds won 7 MVPs. Barry Bonds is a well-known cheater, liar, steroid user. None of his records count in my book because he cheated. He had 7. He was the next closest in any of the sports. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won the NBA MVP 6 times. Jordan won it 5. Peyton Manning won the NFL MVP 5 times. So think about that for a second. You're talking about all-time greats. This guy won it 9 times. 9 times. It's absurd. It's like I said, we could go on and on and on about all the records this guy has.
Only 3 other players in the NHL have won it more than once. And he won it 9 times.
It's unbelievable. It's so unbelievable.
Yeah.
Dude. I mean, so this brings up a bigger question. So what I did is I put a list together of the most dominant people, right? So it's a great argument. Gretzky, the greatest athlete, or Gretzky, the most dominant at his sport? Okay. You have Michael Jordan. Everyone argues, it's not an argument. He's the best basketball player ever, right? Tiger Woods, best golfer. Messi, best footballer. You want to make Pele or Maradona, whoever you want to put in there. Messi winning the World Cup sets him apart for me. Michael Phelps in swimming, in Olympic sports. Babe Ruth. Soccer, you got Novak, you got Roger, you got Rafa, and don't forget, you got Serena Williams in tennis. Usain Bolt, Olympic athlete, sprinting, world champion. Tom Brady, how can you forget the great Tom Brady? 7-time Super Bowl winner. Lance Armstrong. Floyd Mayweather, you brought up. Undefeated as a boxer, and where it's a split-second decision, you're on the mat and you lose. And then, obviously, I go into other sports. Like, I love Iron Man, so like Jan Frodeno. Like Jan Frodeno, think about that from a different standpoint. You have to swim 2.5 miles, bike 112 miles, and run a marathon. He's done it in under 8 hours, and he's won Hawaii multiple times, like Mark Allen, all these great triathletes. So I posed the question to you. If we were to put a bracket together and you made it the most dominant, best, whatever, is Gretzky top to you?
I think you have to look at this in 2 different ways. I think there's the team sport side of it and there's the individual sport side of it. It's so hard to compare the two.
Mm-hmm.
In a team sport, you have people there putting you in position to do great things. And when you look at it, it's like, it's hard because I think in individual sports, you can be a pure athlete. And all of your success is based on you and you alone. So I think that separates, I think it separates them from the rest. Now you could just say on the flip side, like you're an incredible athlete and you didn't have the sporting cast around you. You still had some records that you set yourself. But I think if you're an individual sport athlete, I think it puts you a tick up above on the scale of greatest of all time, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. I do believe that, because the one that I have trouble, and we talked about this earlier, is this: in a team sport, you can have a bad day and still win. Gretzky made,
Mm-hmm.
Gretzky made. I will say this about Wayne Gretzky: when it comes to team sports, he made everybody around him way better. I'm not going to say that for Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't the best teammate. All he cared about was the win. Gretzky was a distributor first. He was the best ever, the most dominant ever, but he made everybody around him better. But the problem that I have is this, and you brought it up: it's individual versus team. How can anybody argue with the likes of Michael Phelps or Tiger Woods? We talked about this. For a 13-year stretch, Tiger Woods won 14 majors. He won 71 times on tour, and it was Tiger Woods versus the field. It was never Wayne Gretzky versus the field. It was the Oilers versus who, or the Kings versus the who. It was Tiger Woods versus the world in terms of a dominant. Like, the dude won if he wore red on Sundays, he was winning the fucking tournament. You know what I mean? So for me, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think there's a question. I think he's the most dominant at his team sport ever. But you're right. Individual dominance is a lot harder to do.
Um, you had made a great point before. You were talking about Messi, just as far as he's on a team sport, but he won, and I don't know a lot about it, but you had said he won basically the soccer award for greatest soccer player in the entire world. When
Yep.
I look at things like that, I think that puts people above. And if we pair that with the individual sport side of things, I don't know how you can't look at a Tiger or Michael Phelps, dude. He did. I mean, Tiger. Yeah, he's playing against the best golfers in the world, I suppose. They're all on the PGA Tour. Like Michael Phelps did it over, I think it was 4 different Olympics, where he got
Yeah.
23 golds and 5 other medals, dude, against the best people in the entire world. You told me I forget which Olympics it was. He went 8 for 8 with 8 gold medals and 8 world records. Like, that is straight up absurd to me. Absolutely absurd. And if you go down the list, you had said Barry Bonds is off your list because of the cheating and steroids. You kind of have to take Lance Armstrong off. I know a lot of the people in the cycling community were on steroids. It wasn't just him. But in my mind, unfortunately, you have to take him off. And that's a sad thing, but it's the truth. And then Floyd Mayweather. Don't think he's a good guy. Don't think he's a good person. But the fact of the matter is, he's 50-0 in a sport that, like you said, a millisecond off your game, you're going to get knocked on your ass, and it could all be over. And he never allowed that to happen. 50-0 in a boxing ring, and he's not a big guy. He just was fast. He could move. Like, those, and I left tennis off because I'll let you go down that rabbit hole, because tennis is your jam. But like, when you look at Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, and Rafa Nadal, like, those guys, the fact that the 3 of them were competing at the same time hurt them, in the sense that if they hadn't been all competing at the same time, one of them would have probably 30 more majors. But I'll let you take that one.
Yeah, well, they're known as the big 3 in tennis, okay? And the craziest thing about Roger, Rafa, and Novak is they all played in essentially the same era. Roger won his first major in 03, so he's a little bit easier. He's significant, not significantly, but he's older than both Novak and Rafa. But like I told you earlier, Roger set the tone. But Roger didn't start winning majors until he was in his 20s. Rafa and Novak both won majors as teenagers. And that's the difference. That's the reason why they both have surpassed him. Even though Rafa's body's broken down now, he's not the same. Novak just got beat in a major upset. He didn't look right at the Australian Open this year, but he would have won another major. But there's never been a time in any sport, and if you look back in the history of sports, especially individual sports, there's never been a time where 3 players at the same time were so much better than everybody else. I mean, there was a time, so this is just, I'm just going to throw out some statistics because I love tennis and I love Roger, Rafa, and Novak. Their career record the three of them combined is 3,415 wins and 711 losses. That's 83% winning percentage. They have 293 career titles amongst them. I mean, the amount of majors that they've won is absurd. They've won gold medals in the Olympics. The thing about it is this. There was a streak at one point where from like 2007 to 2020 or something like that, or 2019, only like 4 other men won majors in that span. And Del Potro was one of them. Murray's got a couple of majors. Stan Wawrinka's got a couple of majors. Other than that, dude, Federer won his first title in 03 at Wimbledon. Okay. Nadal won his first French in 05. And then Novak won his first, I think it was 08. I think it was 08 when he won his first major, and that was in Australia. And he's gone on to win like 10 Australias. But the dominance of 3 guys is the reason why none of these guys, like you said, if Roger had started winning majors in his teens, he probably would have 30 majors. If these guys were spread out by 10 years each, they all would have 30 majors. For me, the reason why these guys can't go on and be as the most dominant in individual sports is because there was 3 of them at the same time. My argument would be that Serena Williams is the most dominant tennis player of all time because for about 12 years straight, there was no woman in tennis that could come close to her. She kind of like lost a lot of these majors by herself, and I'll give her credit when she always said I would lose by myself because she was just a beast out there and would hit people off the court, and no other women could really play with her. Her sister won some majors. Maria Sharapova won some majors. She was never great on clay, Serena, but the fact that, talk about dominance, she was so dominant, and there was nobody else at the time that was even close to her, whereas these 3. That's why I really, really come back to Michael Phelps. 8 for 8 in 08 it was. 2008, he went 8 for 8. 8 golds. Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, these dominant individual. Like, I know Phelps won some awards with teams. He won some medals, with relays. But for the most part, it was all him all the time. Where Tiger, it's golf, man. God, if that guy had just won 18 majors, he would go down as the greatest athlete ever, and there would never be a question. No one else would even be on the same page as him. But the fact that he didn't get to 18 and he's at 15 and all the injuries and all the bullshit, you know what I mean? But you're right, man. There's something to be said for an individual sport. But if I'm saying team sport, it's Gretzky by a mile. And I don't think anyone's close. I love Jordan, greatest ever, all these guys. But if you're talking about a team sport, Wayne Gretzky is the most dominant athlete in the history of team sports. And then if you had to lean one way or the other, I mean, Serena, Tiger, even Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, and those guys, Gary Player, they played when Jack played. You know what I mean? So he really has the most majors. Those guys all won majors at the same time.
I mean, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think Wayne Gretzky is. I still think there's a case to be made for Brady on the team sports side. I think the sheer amount of records that Wayne Gretzky has, I think I lean the direction of Gretzky. But I'll tell you what. I think Michael Phelps, to me, is the most dominating individual sport athlete of all time. I can say swimming's not as big of a sport as the rest of them, but what he did over the course of a 16-year span, dude, I don't think it'll ever happen ever again. Because he blew people out of the pool everywhere he went.
Yeah, and most every one of his wins was a blowout. And I'll go back to Brady for a second. When he won the Super Bowl in 2020 with Tampa, that put the Brady Belichick. Just look at what's happened now. That put the Brady Belichick argument to rest. Did they work well together? Yes, but it was Brady. Belichick, since Brady's been gone, has been a complete dumpster fire. He's not even a head coach anymore since Brady left. He's gone. He literally fell off a cliff after Brady left. And for all that those say anything about Mahomes, one thing Brady did, and this may give him another notch. And I didn't really follow much of Wayne Gretzky's career in terms of his contracts, but you and I both know Brady always took a pay cut. Always took a pay cut to make sure that his team was taken care of and he won. And that's something that can't be said about a lot of these other quarterbacks that take her 40, 50. Deshaun Watson's next contract next year, his cap hit's going to be $62 million. Like Brady never once did that. Brady, and let's go to Brady records for a minute, because I know that Gretzky, no one will ever touch the amount of records that Wayne Gretzky has. But Brady's first in wins, Brady's first in Pro Bowls, Brady's first in Super Bowl MVP awards. He's first in completions, attempts, pass yards, and passing touchdowns. So Brady's no slouch in records. I mean, he's got like 7 or 8 records. He's got, you know what I mean? So he's no slouch in individual records during a team sport. You know what I mean? So I'm not saying there may not have been a better teammate than Tom Brady because he cared about his team, the passion, the fire, Jordan, all that stuff. But Brady, obviously Mahomes got a long way to go. I'll give credit where credit due. Mahomes is great, but he's not Brady. And I hate when people try to put him in the same fucking category.
Oh, yeah. He's got a long way to go, man. Now, listen, he's got a long career ahead of him, so we'll see what happens. The greatness that he's showing already is pretty remarkable, but yeah, he got a long way to go to catch the GOAT there.
Yeah, and the other thing I would say about Mayweather too, you brought up Mayweather. Mayweather, it's kind of what's the word? It's kind of it's objective, right? It's a point of view, it's perspective, because it comes down to judges' cards. There's a couple fights in Mayweather's career that a lot of people said he lost decisions, but you are beholden to the 3 judges on the ring at the ring. Tiger Woods and Michael Phelps, it's a numbers game. It's math. It's right or it's wrong. You know what I mean? You either have the lowest score and you win the major, or the fastest time in the pool and win. Mayweather, for being 50-0, you could argue there's a couple fights there that went one way or the other, but it came down to 3 human judges that said he was better than the other guy on that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true. I will say this though about Floyd. He has only been knocked down 1 time.
Yeah.
1 time.
That's impressive. That's impressive.
I mean, say what you want about the judges' cards, decisions. I get that. But he's only been knocked out 1 time in 50 fights.
And one thing about
Crazy.
Mayweather, too. Mayweather, it's kind of like an individual sport thing, too. Boxing, you kind of write your own checks and you write your own tickets. You can avoid fights in boxing if you want. He never backed down from a fight. I will say that. Some boxers back down from fights and they don't want to have a trilogy or a rematch or this. And a lot of times they have rematch clauses. Mayweather never turned down a fight in his career. There was nobody that he should have fought that he didn't fight. He beat everybody that was put in front of him. And he wanted the biggest check. So good. Kudos to him. He wanted the money and he took every fight. And he never shied away from a fight. And there's a lot of times these promoters and shit get involved and they screw everything up, but he never shied away from a fight.
No, definitely not. One of the things I was thinking about as we were going through this list, I thought about it for a second in my head, but I realized I'm 40 years old, so it's probably not going to hit the same. But I was thinking, of everybody we listed, other than Babe Ruth, we got to see all these guys in their prime.
Oh my God, it's insane.
And watching sports and being a part of it. That's pretty awesome.
Dude, no doubt, man.
Crazy.
We've played
crazy. I think about Bryce. We watch sports all the time, and he asked me all sorts of questions about who's the greatest, things like that. But he hadn't seen any of these players, anybody.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy to think all these people we got to see, that a whole generation that we're raising as full force fathers had never got to see, and they're going to have to hear these stories from us, hear their greatness from us, and we'll see what the great athletes of their time. To Bryce, Patrick Mahomes is the greatest football player in the world, man. Yeah. Bryce is 7, Mahomes has won 3 titles. That's not bad.
Well, yeah, and the last time Bryce watched Tom Brady play, you and I sat together and watched that Super Bowl. That was 4 years ago. He was 3 years old. But it's he was 3 years old when he saw Brady win his last ring. That's just insane. That just tells you how fast time goes by.
Yeah, sure does.
But anyways, you got anything else on this episode, or you want to bring it home?
Now let's bring it home, man. This is a great one. See what I did there? The great one. This was fun. Episode 99. Brett, I hope you go and hang up your poster now and start reading your book very soon, whenever you finish the book that you're currently reading, because it's next on the 75 hard list for you. We are going to be back next week for episode 100. If you like this show, share it with people, folks. This was a good one. This was a lot of fun. Brought back some great memories, too, in the sports world. So get out there, share the message for us. Let's get it out to as many fathers as we can. Continue to live the full force life. We'll see you next week for episode 100.